Israelis have a state and Palestinians don't. And just by virtue of that structure, there is a huge difference in capacity and the ability to project your narrative.
At a handful, and even they have a very meager sort of advocacy and lobbying operation.
The disparity is also proven in wealth. The total amount of assets for J Street in 2012 was $1,729,065, compared to the American Task Force on Palestine's total assets in 2010 being $399,506. My next question is, why is there a disparity? The first answer I received to this is that Palestinians are not organized.
The Palestinian community here in the United States, Palestinian Americans, are fragmented. They're not united around a cause, or even I would say they're not even united around a narrative.
I would say that we're organized differently, but that we do need to do a better job of translating what is very broad and deep grassroots support.
The second answer I received was Americans are more like Israelis. I then asked the question of the involvement of race in the issue.
We are one step closer.
It's easier for people to show more affinity and to feel closer to people who are more like them. And Israelis are more like Americans than Palestinians are. They speak the language, they're more westernized, and so on and so forth.
There has been this sort of notion, I mean, it's been part of the messaging of pro-Israel groups that Israel is a bastion of Western civilization in a hostile Middle East, almost bringing up this sort of racist, we're the white people amongst all these barbarians, even though many Israelis are not white.
No, I think that is an integral factor of it, because regardless of what Americans say, we're still very racist in our attitudes when it comes to black, brown, even Asian.
Anti-Muslim opinion in this country after the 9/11 attacks. I mean, especially after the 9/11 attacks.
The third answer I received was Palestinians are not playing the game of Washington.
There's a way that Washington works, and it's really important for organizations and movements that want to have influence and power in this town to understand the rules of the game and to get engaged and be involved.
It's a difficult question, and as an organization that's focused on these principles of accountability, human rights, and equality for all, it's been a struggle for us to figure out sort of the extent to which we're willing to play that game, which I think can inevitably corrupt players who are involved in it.
Don't know how Washington works. Probably they haven't figured out how to work Washington or how Washington works, but I think that's definitely not true of ATFP. And we've shown that it can be done, and we've shown how to do it.
ATFP claims to have found success in playing the game of Washington. However, does ATFP accurately represent the Palestinians?
To be perfectly honest, it's not clear what exactly they represent.
Is it frustrating to be behind in having as much influence as pro-Israeli groups? How has the media added to this frustration?
Well, it is extremely frustrating. It is frustrating because, without having votes and money behind you, good ideas can only take you so far. So you need that.
The Zionist narrative is one that is accepted in the mainstream U.S. discourse here, largely unquestioningly.
The media institutions have been friendlier to that perspective and have been very reluctant to, have Palestinian voices or even non-Palestinian voices critical of Israeli policies. I do think that's one area where we're winning in many ways, but it's not translating, unfortunately, into a shift in policy.
Do powerful pro-Israeli lobbying groups block out Palestinian voices?
There is no block that will stop you if you can organize and project your power.
Has there been progress and influence for Palestinians in Washington, D.C.?
I think it was a lot more difficult to have Palestinian voices represented in the mainstream. There were very few that were listened to or taken seriously if space was ever provided for them at all. I think that's changed today. I think today there is a much more welcoming environment for Palestinian voices in the mainstream media than there was in the past.
Despite the disparity between Israeli and Palestinian groups, Palestinians have made progress and continue to make progress to project their narrative in Washington, D.C.